Do you enjoy spending time in your backyard like I do mine, and you'd love some new backyard decor that doesn't cost you hardly anything? Well, you're in luck. Hi, my name is Leslie, and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 6 super cute items you can make using things that you're finding in your outdoor store. Would you like to see mine? Let's go have a look. Now, go grab some items from your outdoor store, your favorite beverage, and let's get to crafting. And we are gonna jump right into project number 1 today. Check out this wood flower. So I have these wood rounds that my husband has cut me, and really all it is I would say a little medium size, maybe smallish size branch. I would guess about 3 inches in diameter maybe. And he just cut me some wood slices on our miter saw. Now, you could cut these same wood slices using your miter box and saw if you were so inclined. It just would take you a little bit longer than a little zip of my husband's miter saw. So once you've gotten those little rounds cut, or if you don't have an outdoor store, you can actually buy these wooden rounds at sometimes Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, Michael's. I don't think you can find them at your hardware store, but I am going to be using 5 of those larger ones and then 1 smaller one for the center of my flower. The long stem piece is about, I would say, 1 inch in diameter, and it just so happened that when I broke it off the branch, I got that nice little flat piece in the center, but you can always cut that. Now I'm using a combination of wood glue and hot glue because I live here in Texas and our summers are brutal, and if I'm going to put it outdoors, I have to have another way to secure things besides just hot glue, because otherwise it'll melt and then fall apart. So we've used a combination of both, and then I just took some of these little pieces that I had that were not necessarily round, more oval-ish, and turned those into leaves. And then I added some hot glue to keep it in place with a clamp until it dried. And that is simply all there is to this project. I would say that branch is about 30 inches long, and then I dug a little hole and buried it in there so that it would stand upright in my flower bed. I just wanted to pop in here real quick and say how much I appreciate you being here, whether this is your first visit or you're a regular subscriber, and y'all know who you are. I really appreciate the time that you spend with me each week. Now, if this is your first time here, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below to help my channel grow. Give today's video a big old thumbs up, share it with your friends, and comment down below. Now, let's get back to crafting. And that brings us to project number 2. Check this out. So I have this plastic container left over from, I want to say, one of the herbs that I bought for my herb garden. It's super flimsy plastic, but I didn't want to throw it away. I thought there would be a better way to use it, and so I went outside and grabbed a bunch of sticks. And you can kind of see there are various diameters, starting at about, maybe 1/4 inch and working our way up to about 1/2 inch. And then I'm just going to measure them against the side of the pot. I decided I didn't want to see the lip of the pot, and so we're going to have them go up about 1.5 inches over the top lid of that pot. Now you can grab whatever pots you have available. You know, I was just trying to make this as inexpensive as possible. So the only one item that for this project that I'm using that is not from my outdoor store is that little pot that would have otherwise been thrown in the trash. And so we're going to go ahead and cut a whole bunch of these because we are going to fasten them around the perimeter of that black pot. Now to cut all these pieces, I am using a combination of those, I guess they're wire cutters, no, tin snips, that's what they are. Tin snips that I bought from Walmart. I'm using my little other little snippers that I bought from Harbor Freight to kind of get off the tiny little pieces. You could use your miter shears, you could use your miter box and saw, or if you have a miter saw that you can whip through these, you can do that as well. I was just trying to do them all in my craft room because it was kind of mosquito-y outside. Now, as you can see, I am going to secure these onto this pot using hot glue, and I'm just trying to find the best sticks that line up kind of next to each other, and I'll show you a view here in a second of how they are, but they're not super tight together. That was one of the bonuses of using this black pot, is it really won't matter how much of the pot you see. It just kind of adds to the decor of it, and I am just trying to line them up the best I can. So as you can see, they don't have to be perfectly straight. I tried to find some that were straighter than others, and they don't have to be all the same size. Just keep in mind that you don't want them too wonky or janky, otherwise you'll see a lot of the black pot instead of just a little bit. And we're just going to continue gluing these. Now I made sure after the first couple I just add a little bit of glue down at the bottom of the stick and then a little bit of glue up at the lid of the top of the pot. This pot isn't completely the same in diameter at the top as it is in the bottom. It's kind of, I guess pot shape, so it's smaller at the bottom than it is at the top. But we're going to make sure that it works out anyway. We're just going to keep our sticks going, maybe pick a little bit of the sticks that have a wider top and a smaller bottom, and that way then they can all go together. Now, as I said before, I live in Texas, and so even though I am using hot glue to kind of get that instant hold on here, that is not what we are going to be using as our final hold. So let's go ahead and finish getting all those sticks around, and then as you can see, I have this huge zip tie that fit all the way around. Now I secured it down good and tight with that zip tie, and that way then if my glue does melt, everything will stay in place. And but I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to use to cover up that zip tie. Now I could have just painted it and that could have been that, but to add to more of the rustic look of this piece, I'm going to go ahead and use some twine. The rope just didn't sit right against this particular zip tie because since it's so large, it's really thick, and so even if the top of it was covered, which would have required a lot of hot glue to keep it covered, which kind of defeats the purpose of using the zip tie in the first place if you're hot gluing all your twine around, or your rope in that case. So I'm just going to continue to wrap the twine around and around and around until I get it exactly the coverage that I'm looking for and how thick I want it. I did add a dab of hot glue there at the end just to secure that end in there, and we're going to tuck that in good and secure. And then to do the bottom, I did not add another zip tie. I figured the one zip tie would hold it in place, but I am going to knot down my twine as soon as I get it wrapped around and around. Now this is just that Dollar Tree twine that you can buy in either the craft section or the hardware section, wherever you can find it at your store. And it's super cheap, and so I used quite a bit of it, but it didn't look like I hardly made a dent in that roll. once I've gotten the amount done that I want on that bottom, then I'm going to go ahead and snip that end and tie it in a good old knot, and then trim down those ends. And that's all there is to this project. I'm going to dump some dirt in here and then add my flowers. Now this particular plant I will talk about a little bit more in the next project, but I had a ton of these already, and so I didn't even have to buy any, and just stuck it in there. And look at this in my garden. Oh, look, you got a cute little view of that ladybug from Pot's project last year. And here is project number 3. I found this in our wood pile. Not sure exactly where it came from, but I trimmed off the top and the bottom so that the bottom laid flat. And I am using my handy dandy pink drill and this Forester bit. It's a 1.5 inch Forester, and it will drill a hole right through this wood. Now this is, I want to say it's like a cedar. It's really a hard wood, and it might not be cedar. Anyway, don't get me to lying what it is, but I am going to take my time and drill this hole. In hindsight, my pink drill probably wasn't the best choice to do this with. I might have burned it up, if you want to know the honest truth, trying to get this done, because this wood was kind of hard, and I might have needed a Forester bit bigger than 1.5 inches. But the 1.5 inch bit was going to work for multiple projects. But you can see what I'm doing is just kind of digging a hole in this stump to be able to use it as a pot. And once I got it all dug out the way I wanted it, I grabbed some potting soil. Now this particular bag I just had on hand. It was one of those ones that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, but it's not necessarily the best price. And here are some more of those flowers. Now what they are called are coxcomb, or a bottle brush celosia, I think is what it's called. Anyway, I bought a couple of them last year, and they have multiplied in that pot, and then whatever pollinators and whatnot took over, they were scattered all through my yard. So these that I used in these last 2 projects were ones that I found scattered in the yard, and I plucked them out of their obscurity and stuck them in a pot by themselves. And that brings us to project number 4. These are so super simple. So I took a branch, I want to say it was probably 4 inches in diameter, and then I have these large wood pieces that my husband cut for me with his chainsaw into these large wood rounds, and we are just going to glue those 2 together to make kind of a little stool and or tabletop, whatever you want to call them. Now no worries if it isn't all completely flat, because once this glue dries, that will be very secure on top. And then to take them out into the yard, I actually just dug a little hole and secured them inside the hole. You can see that one's not perfectly straight. So no worries, it does not have to be perfect, but don't those look adorable? And I'm using them for my mint and my lemon balm, because those kind of just take over in the garden, and so we want them in separate pots. And that brings us to project number 5, another super simple one. So I had some more of that 4-inch log left, and we are just going to take my husband's handy dandy drill, and we are going to drill little holes in there and use this as an incense holder for the citronella incense pieces that I bought at Dollar Tree. When we're sitting outside in the dusk and the dawn time, especially when it's wet-ish, we have a ton of mosquitoes. And so in order to keep my husband from being itchy, okay, me too, I like to put out the citronella incense. But One or two doesn't necessarily work, and so I thought if I had a whole little holder thing with 3 or 4 of them, then that should definitely work to keep the bugs away. And so that's all there is to this project. Just make sure that you have a good sturdy log that's going to lay flat wherever you put it, and a nice little drill bit that's big enough for these little incense. And look at that, isn't it adorable? And I love how it looks sitting on the table. It just adds some of that rustic decor without spending a dime. And that will bring us to project number 6. Guys, this is my favorite project of the video. And so back into my outdoor store, we've got these 5 pecan trees that have kind of died. And check out my handy dandy little chainsaw that my husband bought me. We are going to be using it to cut down this branch that I chose out of this area. My husband is slowly but surely cleaning this up and getting all these dead trees out of here. But we're letting the pecans that were growing in around the dead trees get some maturity on them. So we've got some pecans to replace the dead ones with. And once I've picked this, now this one is probably about 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter, and I cut it into 5 pieces, 2 slightly longer than the others, because that's going to be the caboose and the engine on our little train. And then I took a branch about 1 inch in diameter and cut tiny little slivers on our miter saw, and we're going to make those into wheels. This is the only item that I purchased for this video, for this project, not video, for this project, and these are the Dollar Tree skewer sticks, you know, the real skinny ones that you can get in the kitchen section. I guess they're good used for like kebabs or something like that. But we're going to cut those down into a size that's going to fit up underneath our train and connect our wheels together. That'll give our wheels something to stick to and to adhere to. And then we're going to take the handy dandy drill and we are going to drill a hole in the center of each one of these little circles, and we are going to put our wheels together. As you can see, I'm using a little scrap piece of wood to drill on. That way I'm not drilling into my desk. And we're going to use that Forester bit again. And we are going to use my husband's drill this time and drill a hole in the center of our train piece. Now I am going to make this one look kind of like an engine. So I'm cutting 4 small pieces for the sides, and then a slightly larger piece in diameter for the, what is that, the smokestack in the front? Is that what it's called on an engine? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below. But we are going to decorate our little train engine here. So we're going to wood glue and super glue these pieces on, the wood glue for our permanent hold in our Texas heat, and I'm sorry, not super glue, hot glue, and the hot glue so that we get an immediate hold to hold that down. And then I'm going to add some hot glue onto the wheels, the axle, I guess, of my wheels, and we're going to get those all situated. Now, I didn't worry, since this is going to be sitting in the dirt, and I don't imagine that it's going to come apart in the Texas heat when that hot glue melts. So I didn't worry about adding any wood glue onto the bottom of this for underneath the train. And so we're going to go ahead and get those wheels in place. And as you can see, I had my skewer sticks just a little long. That way I could kind of place them underneath and figure out how long I need. And I will be cutting each and every one to match the wood branch that it's going up underneath. And so there's our little train car so far. And there's this little smokestack in the front. And so then I wanted a cover, but I didn't want it completely covered because I'm going to put flowers in this. And so I just took some of this leftover scrap paint stir stick that I had in my scrap pile, and I'm going to be cutting that down to go over the top of those little 2 side pieces, actually little 4 side pieces, to create a kind of a little cover. And you'll see I decide in the end we're going to glue them kind of towards the end of that those little sticks. So you can see that now, kind of facing over the back more so than covering up the hole. And we'll do the same in the front. Again, because we're going to put flowers in there, we want them to get some sunshine. And so we're going to go ahead and stick that down with a little bit of hot glue. And then I grab my truffle chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to do a real quick kind of brush on of the truffle paint, just because that stir stick or paint stir stick is such a contrasted color from our little branch pieces. So once we get that all done, then I am going to grab some flowers. I've got some moss roses, and I am going to put moss roses inside of our little holes. Now for the rest of these holes, I'm not going to lie, I did not use my husband's drill to drill them. I actually have a drill press that my husband bought me for maybe my birthday last year, and it came in perfect handy here. That Forester bit went through these pieces like a champ and made the work so much easier. I felt like it was one of those instances of working smarter. And now I've got my little moss roses, and we are going to just be popping those right inside those little holes, and then give them a nice little dose of water. And when these kind of fluff out, oh, I can't wait to see them. Kind of like the moss roses that I put in that water fountain that I made a few videos back for my backyard in my pots video from this year. And I will have actually all of my outdoor decor videos linked down below. So in case you want to go back and take a look at those, I've done some really cute projects. And in my final look today, you'll get to see some of those. I really love all of my outdoor decor. So there's a couple of videos of terracotta pots, one from last year, one from this year. There's one video where I made the welcome outdoor sign, and I think there's an owl out there that I made in that video. Might have been that video, maybe another one. Anyway, I'll have them all linked below so that you can take a look at those. Maybe I should do a compilation of all my outdoor decor videos. What do you think? Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in, and I can certainly put that together for you. So here we are securing our wheels onto our last little train car there, or our caboose. And I love the way the moss roses kind of look in this. It looks like, you know, the train is actually moving as we are going down the tracks, especially this one here. Anyway, I love the way this looked. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And here's our final look. That's that little welcome sign. And here we are with all of our crafts from today. Let me know in the comments below which one or ones were your favorites, which one or ones you would like to try to recreate. And do you guys have an outdoor store where you are, or someplace that you can collect yard debris, as it were? Let me know that down in the comments below. And if you do make any of the projects, or you would like to share something that you made that maybe I inspired you a little bit to create, I would love to see your creations. Send me an email at happytuesdaydiy@gmail.com. I really appreciate all the pictures of everything you guys create. And one of these days I'm going to get my act together and share some of your creations with our channel. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the backyard today. Now, since you stuck around with me till the very end, here's your hint on one of next week's projects. You are going to need some raffia, a styrofoam ball, and you guessed it, a little bit more yard debris. But until then, make it a great day and happy Tuesday!